We are here, and it is right now. And don't adjust your screens, but we do have a full house for UFC 314. It is the UFC 314 Fight IQ RotoWire preview. With me, as always, is Joe Sun Tzu and Drake. But what you might not know, or you do now, is that we have a fourth man. It is Joey T, sometime contributor to the pod. But this is such a packed card that. We decided to have Joey sit in with us, and we're definitely glad to have him here. And before I get to the boys, just sort of an overview of the card. Like I said, definitely packed. One of the better cards we've seen in the last few months, honestly. We've been starved for a card of this quality, in my opinion, and we're getting it. Not only do we have, the featherweight, I guess interim title now since it was vacated so that Topuria could eventually make his move up. But before that, we have Michael Chandler, of course, always the most exciting, although not the most successful of late, taking on Paddy Pimblett, which is a good one because that's two polarizing guys there, and someone is gonna get their comeuppance. But as I said, this is a packed card. We're gonna hear from all the boys now, and I want to open it up. This is really an interesting card in terms of. I really feel like there's a lot to talk about in terms of salary. I mean, we have a lot of guys in the 8,000 range, some even in the lower 8,000 range, that could legitimately score 90, 95, even 100 points. So there's a real question as to, do we even want those 9,000 salaries? Do we pay up? How do we construct our lineups? We'll get to all of it, but I do want to open it up. Boys, how are we feeling about this card?
1 second. Hey, before we talk about fights, I really do need to know, Chris, are
Yeah,
you
sure.
pork roll or Taylor ham?
Taylor Ham for me.
Okay, so I
Yes, sir.
assume based on the geography that
Yeah.
Joey, you are in fact pork roll, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Chris, you broke the tie. It's north is pork roll, central is kind of on the fence,
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
South Jersey is South Jersey's pork roll. So you and I are Taylor ham and Joey's pork roll. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, as for the card, real quick. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there are a couple people 9K and higher that I think we can low key fade.
Mm-hmm.
And stay in the middle range. I mean, I think it's that kind of slate. I see a surprising amount of variance. Just because the main and the co-main are relatively tight line wise, and I think there's going to be some balanced action on both sides. But outside of Chase Hooper, who I think will really roll Jim Miller, we could talk about that later. Maybe someone will disagree. I don't see the need to play a lot of Arosa, Tulio. Sumadarji, I know he's 8.9K, but I don't see a reason to play a lot of those guys.
Yeah. No. I kind of agree. When I was saying the upper 8,000s, I meant more like Krylov, who's a guy who always brings the action. But no, I do agree. Drake, Joey, any thoughts on this card? Anything you're looking at, or general thoughts overall?
Any card that's got a fighting nerd on it, I'm all for.
We know that much. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Joey, any words before we set sail here?
This is one of the better cards of the year. We get a new champ in Volk or Lopes, and we really find out if Paddy's ready for the top 10. It's tough fight. It's gonna be a tough fight with Chandler, but we'll see. If he beats Chandler, then some intriguing matchups will definitely be in his future. As for a betting slate, I'm trying to contain myself because I do see a lot of potential dogs barking. So
Yes,
I'm trying to see if I pick my right ones, and I'll be good.
yeah, no, absolutely. I have a couple myself, and I think a couple that you might not all agree with. So that'll be interesting, and we'll definitely get there. But before we get to the card itself, I do want to say, if you're interested in trying out all of our RotoWire content, baseball in full swing, the Masters now, of course. So everything is up and running. You go to rotowire.com, and on our checkout page, you go Roto15 at checkout for 15% off of any subscription. That's monthly, 6-month annual. Roto, ROTO 15% off at checkout. But for now, we are going to get to the card, and we're going to open up with the first fight on the slate, curtain jerker. It is Nora Kornolf at 8,600 taking on all hail Haley Cowan at 7,600. Line on this fight. Cornell is minus 185. Cowan comes back at plus 160. And Haley Cowan is a fighter where if you just look at her first and you don't know who she's fighting, you probably would never pick her. She does a lot of things wrong in the cage. She has her chin straight up in the air all the time, and it's definitely at risk to be hit. Having said that, though, I'm really not impressed with Cornell as a fighter. She has trouble closing distance. She has trouble landing clean. She throws a lot of bare kicks, which gets her countered hard a lot. And even though she's a kickboxer by trade, she always wants to grapple, and that would really hurt her here if she does try against Cowan, who's really big, really strong, and really vicious in the clinch. Good elbows, good knees, and I think a better grappler overall. So, we've seen Cornell get reversed by and struggle on the ground against grapplers who are not at the caliber of Cowan. So I'm taking Cowan here as the small dog again. I probably wouldn't pick her in a lot of different matchups, but this is one I quite like just because I'm just not a fan of Cornell's game overall. But I have a lot to pick from here. Why don't I start with our guest of honor, Joey? How do you see the first fight here?
As you said, going with Hale, I'm going to hail myself away from this matchup in general. I ain't touching either side. My slight lean is actually Haley Cowan. If a fight does finish early, it's probably from Norla, throwing her hands, throwing bombs. But I actually think she's going to get taken down. I'm waiting to get Haley Cowan's takedown prop, see if it's over under 1.5. If it's 1.5, I'm playing the over. Yeah, but I don't think she throws much volume. She's going to look to take you down, hold you just for winning time of possession, winning possession and everything. And I don't think you decide scores well in a win. So I think this is a full fade.
Yeah, definitely could be. I think Cornell is just going to force too many grappling exchanges, and it's just going to really just play right into Cowan's game. So that's why I like her a little bit, but definitely could be. And we'll go to Joe here. I think Sun Tzu as second one to kick off this card. How do you see the first fight here?
Yeah. So despite my well-known moniker as the Chick Whisperer, I really don't have a super strong take on this fight. By the way, this is happening at a catch weight because Cornell missed weight.
Yes.
By 1.5 pounds. So this is a catch weight fight. So already Cowan's getting 20% of her purse. I honestly hate fighters that miss weight by such a small amount because it actually means they tried. Like I'd rather see a fighter just totally blow the weight cut. They're going to give up pretty much, maybe a few more percent of their purse, but at least they didn't deplete themselves. I don't love this fight at all. I kind of feel the same way as Joey. We need to make a pick here. I'm just going to go with the fighter that's got more UFC experience here, Chris. I don't hate what you said. Like, I could certainly see it going your way. Thankfully, this is the first fight of the night. It's the curtain jerker. So, like, you don't have to worry about, like, getting caught up in parlays on this fight because, you could essentially just, like, have a snack and watch it. And I'm going to pick Cornell, but it's not a real strong take, and I certainly would not play this all that much.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to choose from in this card, and as we said in the open, a lot of fighters that are reasonably priced for a lot of salary. So definitely, if you did want to sit this one out, might not hurt you too bad. But we'll cap off with Drake. Drake, how do you see the first fight here?
I like this fight a little more than you guys do, actually. Dude, I don't know what it is, but the way that Cowan fights is gonna be a detriment to her in this fight. She likes to just get up in your face, and getting in Cornoli's face isn't even something I'd want to do. I like her to finish this fight.
Yeah, I mean, if it does get to that where they scrap in the middle, like I said, she does leave her head on the center line, so I could see it. I just don't trust Cornell to consistently do anything, basically. So we'll have to see how that goes. But so a little bit stronger take on Drake with Cornoli. I'm on Cowan, and the rest of the boys could take or leave this one. It sounds like. But we will move on to the second fight here. It is Marco Tulio at 9,200, taking on Tressian Gore at 7,000. Line on this fight, Marco Tulio minus 400, Tressian Gore plus 330, and this is one of those fights. Kind of takes me back to Carlos Vera a couple weeks ago, where I don't really love Tressian Gore that much, but I really don't love Marco Trulio as a big favorite. I mean, this is a guy who is just so, has a style of regional scene killer. He's incredibly aggressive, incredibly powerful, to the point where he almost falls over throwing strikes, and you can tell that's why he gets some guys out of there. Maybe they just, aren't ready for the aggression. Gore did get knocked out by throwing a naked leg kick against Brundage there, but I don't know. I like his game. I think it's way more put together. He's got a nice jab. He's incorporated some nice wrestling here, especially of late, and he's got power of his own. This might not be the fight, just because I don't think that much Tressian Gore, but I don't think Marco Trulio is a guy who hangs around here. Unless he really rounds out his game in short order here, I just don't really like him as a fighter. So I have to take Gore, just for that bare bottom salary, just because I don't like Trulio. Trulio could storm out and get a finish, that's for sure. But if he doesn't, I just have no idea what this guy's going to look like over 15 minutes, or 10 minutes for that matter. So I'm taking Tressian Gore. I'm taking the savings here. I'm going to start with, I think Drake, because I think Drake might be the one most opposed to me here. So, Drake, how do you see this fight?
Not entirely. I'm also not huge on Tulio. I mean, Tulio did score 113 because he got that first round knockout against Pateria, but Pateria is terrible.
Yeah.
At the same time, Gore is kind of in that same boat. It really could go either way. I do think this finishes inside the distance. I think it's a good fight to target for DFS, and that's both sides. And not to bury my lead completely, but I do like sprinkling in a Gore by submission because it's plus 900. And but my pick is Tulio.
Yeah, no, I could see it. I mean, this is one of those where, like, I picked the other way, but if it finishes inside the first 2 minutes with Tulio, would I be that surprised? I would not. But here we will go to Joe. Joe, how do you see this fight?
Yeah, so Tulio was 9.6K in his last fight. He was given a layup by the UFC. Gore at least has got some experience. He's coming off a 2-fight winning streak. That knockout by Brundage was in 2022, so that was, 2.5 years ago. He hasn't been incredibly active. I'm not really sure why. It looks like he took off all of 2023. Wasn't he actually a cop? Didn't he go to the police academy? I don't know. If anybody knows, just say that in chat. I think this is the person I'm thinking of. He actually became a cop, went to the police academy, and was trying to fight on the side while being a full-time cop. And then I think maybe he stopped becoming a cop and devoted himself to fighting. I'm not really sure. I hope I'm not mixing him up with somebody else. But he fought 3 times in 2022, no times in 2023, fought once in 2024, and that was in November. So this is a relatively recent turnaround for him. He's coming off of a 2-fight winning streak. He scored reasonably well on DraftKings against Fremd. Well, that was actually, again, 2022, but he was 7.5K and he scored 94.8. And then at 8.6K against Tricoli, he scored 98 points. So I'm going to roll with the dog here. I mean, I do think there's, I think you could do a lot building lineups with Gore in it. I'll probably have market ownership on Tulio. But I'm going to just go out and pick Gore here for the win.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. We should mention Tressian Gore, that Josh Friend guillotine, one of the most disgusting guillotines I've ever seen. I thought his head was literally going to pop off his shoulders. I'm glad he's okay after that. But yeah, 2 in a row, two of those kind of weird guillotines. The other one was really quick, so I can see the sub play too. And yeah, I'm just in the same boat. I just Trulio could burn me, but I just can't pay up for a guy like that. But we'll see what Joey has to say about this. Joey, how you see the second fight here?
To me, this is a dog or pass for a DFS type of play. My pick is Tulio. I think the first 2 rounds are going to be close. We'll see whose cardio goes first. If Gore does get the wrestling, I do think he'll have the more overall cardio advantage going into round 3. But sometimes he just leaves his chin hittable when he tries to come forward, in and out. And Tulio, you've seen he doesn't need to bring his punch so far back. It could be a just clean little shot. Maybe I'm thinking he probably wins late round 2. I might sprinkle round 3 knockout because I think this fight's going to play close, and Trayshawn could potentially walk into a punch. But
yeah, it's a good shout. I know you like those with the rounds, and you seem to be pretty good at them. If I do say so. So yeah, definitely a good shout there. I was expecting a little more pushback there, frankly, for the Tracy and Gore pick. So I'm glad that we are basically on the same page, even if some of us do see the knockout. But we're gonna move on to the next fight now, and it is Sumo Darji at 8,900 taking on Mitroposo at 7,300. Line on this fight, Mudarji minus 140, Raposo plus 120. I really didn't hate what I saw from Mitch Raposo in his debut, even though he fell short. He's got fast hands. He's got good movement, good little boxing. But I also really liked what we saw in Sumo Darji in his last loss to Charles Johnson. I thought it was a really disciplined performance that we don't see from him all that often. And Charles Johnson was the one really on the gas and pressure, which we don't really see from him all that much. So nice little, interesting little change up there. But I really did like what we saw from Sumo Darji. Started the fight from the outside and use his range a little more, which I thought was interesting. And I think will help him here too. I think Raposo is going to yield to what his opponent wants. And if Sumo Darji establishes his range here, I think he'll be able to pick him off and really just land the better shots. I'm picking Sumo Darji here. I'm not sure if it's going to score all that well, as I think Joe alluded to in the open, but I do think Mudarji is going to maybe style and pick up a decent win for himself here. So I have got Mudarji, and I think the only one who hasn't started first is Joe. So, Joe, how do you see this fight?
Joey, actually.
No, I thought we started with Joey on the first fight.
Started with me on the first one, right?
No.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Go ahead.
I don't think friends let friends bet on pay 8.9K on fighters that have lost to Matt Schnell and Louis Smoka. Although Smoka was quite a while ago. Look, guys coming off of 3 losses. I think Raposo is probably the better athlete here. This is a dog or pass situation for me. I understand what you're saying, Chris, about the type betting eagle here. But like, I want to see if Raposo can get his wrestling going here, perhaps, and use that to kind of like decision out. Look, I don't see this fight finishing, in all honesty. I see this probably going to decision. And for that reason, it's dog or pass for me. I'll take Raposo. Let's see if he could get his wrestling going. Let's see if he could kind of work that, use that athleticism here. So I'm riding the dog here. I don't have a lot of love at 8.9K for Sumo Darji.
Yeah, decent shot. Like I said, I really didn't hate what I saw from Raposo, even though he didn't get that wrestling going. But I do think there's potentially more to see from him. I just think Mudarji in the right matchup can really be explosive, and I kind of expect him to just be a little too much here. But we will go to Drake next, I believe. Drake, how do you see this fight?
I'm very opposite of Joe on this one. I am a huge fan of Mudarji in this fight. That 8-inch reach advantage is going to put Raposo so flat on his ass, it's not even funny. So watch that knockout in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing. I don't see the knockout materializing myself, but it's a decent shout for sure. Definitely the reach advantage plays. We know how much power Mudarji has for the weight class, especially, and so definitely could see it. But Joey, we'll go to you next. What do you see in this fight?
I'm on Raposo. I think he will get the wrestling going. I think he's definitely going to have to get in the inside early because, as Drake said, if he gets stuck behind that jab, he's literally screwed the entire fight if he can't get anywhere near for takedowns. But I like his fight against Lima. He showed a lot of heart in that fight, and some people actually try to give him the win, but I thought Lima won that fight. but he fought his own. I think Lima is better than Sumandarji, just slightly more powerful. Sumandarji is, but I think Raposo definitely get to the wrestling. His over 1.5 takedowns is -120, and I love playing the over unders for takedowns.
Yeah, no, those are good. Those are definitely interesting props there. I like this 4-man booth. We have a range of opinions here, so definitely interesting and a lot to consider. But right now we will move on to the teeth of the card with Mikhail Oleksiejczuk at 9,000, taking on Cedric Dumas at 7,200. Line on this fight: Oleksiejczuk -230. Dumas plus 195. And I've been a fan of Oleksiejczuk for a long time. I love his speed. I loved it at light heavyweight, and I especially love it at middleweight. The power as well. And Dumas is just the guy who's never really gotten going in the UFC. I mean, he came in as a striker, and over the past couple of fights, he's really tried to wrestle the entire fight. And then turns out in round 3, as in his last fight, he really just didn't have a lot to offer. Just sort of stayed away from Dennis Taulin the entire round and kind of just skated. So I like Oleksiejczuk here. He's explosive. I don't know if the knockout materializes just because I do think Dumas is pretty tough, but I think Oleksiejczuk, this is his fight to lose for sure. We have seen him vulnerable to wrestling in the past. I don't think Dumas is that kind of wrestler though. And again, if he does do it consistently, I think he's just going to get himself tired again. He's certainly not a real submission threat. So
Chris locked up.
Our host has vanished.
It's that Central Jersey. Jersey internet.
Time to bring the quarters.
are we back?
Yeah.
We never
We are
left.
back.
Yeah, your
Oh,
photo
no, what happened?
photo is frozen though.
We should probably take a picture of that because that's a good freeze.
Oh, there he is. He's all
Too late.
back. Okay.
Continue.
Oh no, he's frozen again. Drake, you want to jump in and
Wait, are we back? Am I back?
Yeah. You're
Oh
good.
no, there he goes.
Oh, there he goes.
Shit.
I don't know if we can get him back in the show technically.
I think he can sign back in, can he?
Okay, well we'll just continue on. There he is.
Hey,
All
there he
right,
is.
all right, we're good to go. Don't worry, your fearless leader has returned.
It's that
I'm not
Central
sure what
Jersey
happened
internet, man. What can you say?
Yeah,
Come on, man.
You should stop stealing from McDonald's, man.
Yeah,
Not that
please.
good.
Wait,
Yeah.
what did it say? What did it say?
It said
Nothing, you
Central
just-
Jersey internet on it.
It's just
Oh,
gross.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, I am in Central Jersey, but I don't really know what that means.
No,
But,
I'm just kidding, Chris.
anyway,
Okay.
so I believe. Wait, where were we?
We're at the point where you're done talking and
You're done
Joey's gonna
talking,
pick
you're
us
going to
off.
pass it on to one of us.
Okay, yeah. So I think who are we starting with? I'm all out of sorts here.
I think
Joey.
you go with Joey.
Okay, we'll start
Okay.
with Joey. Joey, how do you see the fight between Oleksiejczuk and Dumas here?
PASS pass. Passing the fight. But my pick is Oleksiejczuk. I think he has the better pure striking advantage with better hand speed, better mix of strikes where he can mix it with the body with leg kicks. Dumas has the tall man syndrome. He just leaves his kick and his heel wide open to kick the entire fight. I hope I did convince somebody to get off of Dumas. So whenever this person talks, I hope his mind did change. But I do think this fight also goes over 1.5. You can get that at -160. I don't see an early finish in this fight.
Yeah, no, neither do I. I kind of agree with your sentiments there. Dumas is just kind of an unremarkable fighter for me, but don't really see the finish materializing. So I think I would pass as well. But I think we're gonna head to Joe next and let Drake cap us off. So Joe, how you see this fight?
Yeah, so I do not like dumbass here. I am going to predict a knockout by Lord McCall. This is, for those of you that don't know, and I appreciate you guys leaving this for me. This is the Polish fighting nerd. He actually spent this camp, and he is going to be cornered by Kai Barrio. Drake has got his Fighting Nerd shirt on. I actually just got my hoodies in the mail today. I did not get a chance to wear it, but he did his camp with the Fighting Nerds. Spent at least 6 weeks there. Kai Barajo is going to be cornering him. I am predicting a knockout by Lord McCall. I think he's going to get back to the Lord McCall that finished Nijikatani. I believe he knocked him out in 2023. I see him getting back to that. Honestly, one of my kind of favorite plays at 9K. Look, I said I wasn't going to do too much in the upper ends, but I have no love for Dumbass at all, and I kind of like him at 9K. And the other Fighting Nerd. So yeah, let's go with Lord Mikhail to get the finish here.
Robert approves of your pronunciation there, Joe.
Hey, Robert, how you doing, buddy?
To point that out. But yeah, that's interesting. I think you'll get a decent amount of scarcity for Mikhail there. So if he does get that knockout, and he is fast and explosive, so interesting little play. But we will end off with Drake here. Drake, how do you see this one?
So it's funny. So I was gonna go with Dumas at the beginning of the week, and it's mainly because of the amount of value that was behind it, given that Oleksiejczuk does not have the greatest ground game and Dumas has quite a bit of a size advantage. But I went back and I watched the Ruzabov fight, and I feel like it could go just like that. I mean, Ruzabov just basically stepped in and said goodnight, and I really think that Oleksiejczuk can do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely could be the case. The wrestling is kind of a concern, but again, when non-wrestlers wrestle, it sometimes is more of a detriment for them than it is their opponent. So we will definitely see how that one goes. But for now, we will move on down the card. It is Julian Erosa at 9,300 taking on Darren the Damage Elkins at 6,900. Line on this fight: Erosa minus 260, Elkins plus 220. And talking a little bit before the pod, and whereas Joe sees the knockout there, I kind of see the knockout here. Elkins is the guy who just kind of built a career, especially his latter career, out of being tough, taking a beating, and then coming back and getting those big wins. Julian Erosa is very long for the division. He's got power, and he's got a nifty ground game himself. I don't anticipate that Elkins could take him down and just sort of dominate him on the ground, especially the length. Have to look out for those Darce chokes that he is a big fan of. I really think that Elkins is just going to walk into a buzzsaw here, and I could actually see Erosa putting up a big score as a consequence. We've seen him just walk into powerful strikers before. It hasn't ended well. Didn't end well against Cub Swanson, and the length here I think is going to be really something that Elkins is not going to be able to contend with in combination with everything else. If Elkins gets his game going, he can be tough to beat in the scrappy little fight, but I just don't see him continuing to just walk through all this damage and come out on the other side. So my pick is Erosa, and maybe in a big way, but I believe we're going to just actually start with Drake in this one. Drake, how you see this fight?
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as you. Elkins is just one of those guys I just kind of wish would retire. I'm tired of seeing him getting his face beat in. You can't tell me that dude does not have brain damage. He just eats and eats and eats every fight. I mean, the amount of the strikes and blows that he's taken to the head, there's got to be consequences coming down. So, I hope that the end of his career comes soon, because it needs to be laid to rest.
Yeah, no, I agree. And thinking about it, when this started, it was probably that win when we all thought that he was this guy who just took a bunch of damage. It was probably that win against Rashad Bektic, and that was in 2017. So he has had this persona for a long time, where he just eats all the shots and comes forward and just takes it down. So well, we have quite a take. Elkins for the win, Robert says, but we'll see if anybody shares that view. But frankly, I don't think so, but we will see. Joey, are you taking the big dog in Elkins, or are you rolling with Rosa here?
I'm going with the big old dog, Darren Elkins.
Oh my goodness, he got it. All right.
Plus 240. Look, yeah, Erosa's good when he's coming forward, but there's a slang that goes around. He may be a good hammer, but he's a terrible nail. If someone else is coming that hammer, Elkins, you're going to have to put him to sleep for him to lose. He has no quit. Erosa,
just because he doesn't have quit doesn't mean
he doesn't
that
have quit, dude. You got to legit knock him the hell out. If not, he's going to come in like Frankenstein, keep swinging, go for a slow man takedown, swing. He might be able to finish Erosa. Erosa, 8 of 12 losses are by TKO. I think Elkins could possibly TKO.
This is one of those moments where I'm going to tell you you're being dumb.
I'm not being dumb, bro. I'm telling you. I think Elkins could get a TKO win.
Yeah, so let me. So here's the concern I have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, my fear is, and I the hammer nail analogy is pretty good. I prefer Erosa a lot more when he's a dog. You know, his last 2 fights he was 7.3K, right, and he put up 111 and 93 points. Now, my fear with Erosa is that he's fallen in love with this sub game. Elkins does not get subbed. He doesn't get subbed. I mean, he just doesn't. And to Joey's point, you know, his chin, Erosa's chin is not great. Now, look, he should have a speed advantage. Like, he should, I mean, my fear is that Erosa, because he doesn't hit all that hard, is that Erosa just like wears himself out punching Darren Elkins in the head. I mean, I get your point, Drake. Like, I don't like to see the damage that this guy takes either. But I think if he gets out of the first round, maybe the first round and a half, this could be a pretty long night. Like, I honestly think the over minus 115 is not a bad play, over 2.5 rounds. Mm-hmm. You could pick either way, under or over. It's both minus 115 each way. You know, unless Elkins is just really completely and thoroughly shot, and even a weak hitter like Erosa can put him away, we would know that Elkins is truly gone if Erosa could sub him. Because, you know, again, Elkins, I don't know if he's ever been subbed, maybe once in his career. I mean, between these two guys, this is going to be like over 60 fights combined that they're going to have. So this is a really interesting fight. I mean, I don't love Erosa at 9.
Oh, you guys need damn Jersey connections.
Yeah. At least it wasn't me this time. I got so nervous. Like, am I off again? But no.
Knock on wood, not me next.
Yeah, I know. It's coming for all of us. But we will. We got Joe's nice smiling face there. But we will wait for. We will wait for him to get back. But in the meantime,
hey, there he is.
Oh, Joe, there he is.
All back. I saw my screen went to black. You know. So yeah. I don't know how much of that you guys heard, but I mean, I said at 9.3K, I see a fair amount of risk here. I'll have some shares, both ways. But like at 9.3K, I do not love Erosa. I would like him a lot more at 7.3K as a dog going into a fight against someone. So I have to make a pick here. I guess it's very lukewarm. I'll pick Erosa, but I think it's going to decision. And rather than pick a side, I'd rather play the over.
Yeah, I think Erosa hits plenty hard for this matchup, but we shall see. But we'll cap it off with Joey. Joey, we saw you. I think we're done with everybody. Yeah, I'm losing track. Okay, so that is the that fight there. We will see how that plays. We got some Elkins love, which I don't see, but he is the rough and tumble, grimy fight guy. So we'll see if he can make one here. But right now we will move down the card again, and it is Chase Hooper 9,600, Jim Miller 6,600. Another big favorite dog fight, and this one is very reflected in the odds. Chase Hooper minus 1,000, Jim Miller plus 625, and I don't think almost any fight deserves to be all that big, but I do think Chase Hooper rolls here. I wrote in my article that if this was a couple years ago, the Chase Hooper who was, weaker and kind of had trouble with his hands, that version of Chase Hooper could have struggled with Jim Miller. Now he won't. He's grown into his body. I think his physicality is fine. His hands are fine. We've seen that in recent fights. Doing well against kickboxers, knocking them down with his boxing. So and the range, of course, would always be a problem for Miller. But now that Hooper's got his hands squared away, I don't see him with much of a chance. The elite grapplers have subbed Jim Miller out pretty quickly anyway, and I do put Chase Hooper in that category. Again, we talked about it. The upper 9,000s, maybe not the best because we got a lot of plays coming up, especially that are much cheaper and could score a lot of points. But I really think Chase Hooper rolls here. I would really 100 plus. I think is well within striking distance, and plus plus plus. So I love Chase Hooper in this spot if you can afford him. And there's some dogs. One that we just gave interesting on Gore. You want to plug him in. I mean, especially if you want to plug Elkins in, you'd be able to fit him. But I love Chase Hooper in this spot, and we will see what the boys think. I think we're going to start with Joey again. So, Joey, how do you see this fight?
I'm so confident in Chase Hooper. I'm playing 2 props. Win by knockout plus 550. I think he can proc Jim Miller. And then there's another same fight prop. Hooper to win by knockout in rounds 1 and 2 plus 700.
Wow. Yeah, no, I like it. Definitely shown his hands in the fight with Slava, and really think he could win any way he wants. And this is just going to be a springboard to his title contention. But we'll go to Drake next. Drake, how do you see this one?
This is one of those fights where I can say and confidently say I have taken Chase Hooper in every fight that he's ever been in the UFC. It's not going to change today. And actually, I'm kind of frustrated with the UFC when it comes to Hooper because I'm really now tired of them taking it so slow with him.
Yeah.
There's no reason for this fight. I mean, if you wanted him to fight Miller, it should have been last fight before he fought Clay Guida. Both of these fights just seem stupid. They're just cakewalks for him. There's no challenge. He's not getting better by fighting these guys. He needs to be bumped way the hell up after this fight.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I get what you're saying, but this could be like Clay Guida. All due respect, isn't. I think Jim Miller is more because he's still out there getting wins, whereas Clay Guida really is not. So I think finishing a guy like Jim Miller spectacularly could be, his arrival moment, and maybe Jim Miller's departure moment. But we will see about that. But Joe, what about you? How do you see this fight?
Yeah. So what's interesting here is that he was 9.7K, Hooper was, against Guida, and he's 9.6K against Miller. So you're telling me that you believe that Guida is better than Jim Miller? Miller's won 3 out of his last 4. Yes, he's 42 years old. He's won 3 out of his last 4 fights. So obviously I'm picking Hooper here. He's actually been DraftKings gold in his wins. His last 3 wins, 113, 134, 94 against Levitt, which wasn't a super easy fight. Against Fiore, he was got 120 points. If you go all the way back to Colares 3 years ago, when he, wasn't even as good as he was now, he put up 142 points. So at 9.6K, I think there are enough options where you could actually build around Chase Hooper here. I think, look, you throw, depending on how many if you're playing 150, you want a couple of Jim Miller lineups, right? Just because. But I really do like Hooper here. I like him. Joey's knockout prop is pretty interesting. I didn't even think about that. I could certainly see that happening. Look, at 42 years old, having had Lyme disease in your career, and that's what cost Jim Miller a lot in the middle of his career is Lyme disease, which if those guys don't know, it's, you're bitten by a certain kind of tick and it just drains you. I mean, it just makes you fatigued and tired, and I don't know that there's a cure for it. It just stays in your body for a while. So it really debilitated Jim Miller, and he lost not lost fights per se, but like part of his career. So yeah, I like Hooper here. I'm going to take Hooper. I think at 9.6K, there are ways that you could put him into lineups and still not have to give away the store.
Yeah. I mean, I really like Jim Miller. I love the story of a guy in his 40s winning fights at lightweight. I mean, you're not going to see that all that often. For that reason, I do think he belongs in the Hall of Fame, which is a separate conversation. But I don't see a path to victory here. Really, I just don't see where he gets it done. But we shall see. All of us pretty heavy on Hooper there, but we will see if Miller can turn back the clock again. But right now, we're going to get to our next fight, which is uh, Verna Jandiroba at 8,300 taking on Yan Jianan at 7,900. Line on this fight, Jandiroba minus 145, Yan Jianan plus 125. And Verna Jandiroba was my pick to end 2025 as the strawweight champion. A little article I posted at the end of December there. If we're keeping count, my first pick is going pretty well, which was Ankalaev to be light heavyweight champion at the end of the year. It was plus 195 at the time, and of course you aren't going to get those odds anymore. So if you're interested in that, maybe hop on Verna while you can. When I wrote it plus 600, not sure where it is now. Having said all that, I just, as you might expect, I love Verna as a fighter. I think that as someone who come in as a grappling expert, her boxing has really come a long way. She's not like a virtuoso. She's not better than Yan Jianan, but she'll be able to hang with Yan Jianan. I really like her footwork. I really think she's agile in there, especially at her age, and she'll be able to do enough before she brings this fight to the floor. We've seen Yan Jianan struggle with grapplers in the past, going all the way back to the Carla Esparza fight, and then, of course, the Zhang Weili fight. Yes, she hung tough in that fight and got a lot done, but Zhang Weili, as good as she is and as good of a wrestler she is, she's not the submission grappler that Verna is, and that's gonna play here. In fact, I don't think Yan Jianan has ever faced a submission grappler half as good as this, so we're gonna see how that plays out on the ground. And I really like Verna here, as you might expect. I like her matchup against Zhang Weili, which I believe is coming next as well. But I love Verna here, and I every time I talked about the low 8,000s with the potential to score big, this is who I was referring to. I really like Verna here. I think she puts up a big score in her ongoing trek to the title. So Verna is my pick in a big way. But we're going to lead off where we left the last time, and that's Joe. Joe, how you see this fight?
Yeah, so I was like all in on Verna early on, and I still like her. Here's the concern I have as it relates to DraftKings. I always thought she was a better bet than she was a DraftKings fighter because here's the problem. She's got no output. She's got, like, I think she landed 2 significant strikes in her last win, right? So what you said about her boxing may be true, Chris, but like she doesn't show it. And the other problem is because once she gets you down, she stays on top. She's not a rinse and repeat takedown artist. Like, she's not like Merab, like people get up. Merab is great at taking people down, not so great at holding them down, right? Jandiroba gets you down and you're kind of done. So, like, rinse and repeat takedowns score better than control time on DraftKings. And also, I was kind of impressed with Jan's last fight. Now, these are older fighters in the strawweight division, right? I think Verna is 36 and Jan is 37, right? So they're pretty close in age. I mean, you're kind of getting up there. And for the weight class, look, I mean, Verna's about as unathletic a fighter as you're ever going to see. But man, the one thing that she does so well. And I don't know that I've ever seen her lose a scramble in a fight either. So yes, I like Verna here. The saving grace here is her price. Like she can still 10x, maybe even 12x. She's only scored 100 once in her entire career on DraftKings. She's only scored 100 once.
Yeah, but she's in the 90s pretty consistently.
Yeah, right. And the salary is a saving grace. I have a feeling though, like last week was this uber high scoring card. Like there were people complaining that they went 5-1 and lost their cash lineups because I think this is going to be another one of those really high scoring cards. And the other thing to think about here, okay, and I want you guys to all give your opinion on this. It seems like the UFC is moving away from ground control and more to damage. And if that's the case, the fighter most likely to cause damage is Yan, because she is a better striker. She does hit harder. So I'm not gonna shy away from my pick. I picked Verna. I'm gonna stay with that pick. I will say at her price, what, 7.9, I would certainly have some shares. I would have both sides of this. I might even be evenly weighted on DraftKings just because of the value that you could pick up by having Jan. And this is predominantly a DraftKings show. But I'm going to stick with my pick of Verna, but I would advise playing both sides of this fight.
Yeah, I don't know. You're going to get a frowny face from me about most of that. Just because, well, the first thing you said, yeah, she landed 2 significant strikes. When you dominate on the ground and then sub, you don't need to land that many strikes. When she needs her boxing, she'll have it. And what you say about ground control might be true, although...
Chris, I have 2 words for you. Taurus Finney. Those are the 2 words I have for you.
What was it?
Taurus Finney. The guy got 30-27. Now, that was a bad scorecard. But he literally threw no strikes. He rode the guy out and lost all 3 rounds on Tony Weeks' scorecard. Yes, I get it. Why is a boxing judge judging MMA? But like this is the direction that the UFC is heading.
Yeah, but that's so far in the other direction where he lands no strikes and the other guy lands. Look, I know most of them were non-significant, but the other guy lands about 100. So that's way in the other direction. And by the way, I don't hate Weeks' scorecard philosophically. Like I don't want people to be rewarded for performances like that. So I think letter of the law, Finney should have still won, but I can't, I have to respect Weeks' scorecard to a certain extent. But no, I hear what you're saying. But I just don't think it's going to matter. And what you said about the prices, I mean, even if the damage does play, I mean, what will that score even at the 7,900? So, I don't know. I think unless she knocks Verna out, she's not going to score well, even in a win. But we shall see. I mean, obviously, I like Verna for a bunch of different reasons, but I do think she gets it done here. But we will move on now to Joey. Joey, how you see this fight?
So Drake knows I do this. Sometimes I plant a flag. Verna was going to be my flag this week, but I got another flag that I'll bring up in a little bit. But I think Verna's going to run through her. I really do. Her over-under on takedowns, 2.5. I think she gets the over. I think at some point, top pressure is going to get to Jan. I think Burns going to get a submission, plus 225. And I believe in that range, I think it'll at least take over 1.5. So around 2 type of sub for Verna, plus 800.
Yeah, no, that's again with the exactos. I love it. I think you're right. Obviously, I think you're right, but I do think that the takedowns are just going to present themselves, and the boxing enough that she needs it, and then the takedowns are just going to present themselves, and it's going to be her fight. I mean, 86-90 in her sleep in this fight with upside for more, I believe. But we'll cap it off with Drake. Drake, how you seeing it?
Man, I've taken Verna Jandiroba in all of her UFC fights, but I am not taking her in this one.
Oh my goodness gracious!
If she wins this fight, if Jandiroba wins this fight, I'll give it to her. You know, she earned her title shot. But it wasn't long ago we watched Jan go toe to toe with arguably the best female fighter ever. I mean, you put Weili and Nunez together, and you have the 2 top fighters ever. So I need to see Jandiroba get through this fight before I say she's there. Jan is still a freaking beast, man.
I respect that point of view. I've taken it myself in certain fights where, well, no, I mean, just philosophically saying, look, I can't pick this fight until I see this person do it, because there's something about the matchup that I think doesn't really tend to them. So I understand that line of thought. I don't see it here, though. Verna all day for me. I just don't know how she's going to deal with the wrestling, and I don't think that she can knock Verna out. So to me, that only leaves one thing. But we will see how it plays out.
I punch her so hard that her eye goes normal.
Oh, come on. That's out of line. That's out of line. We might end the show early.
I'm joking.
That's it. Okay, but no, I definitely understand the play. That last comment, notwithstanding, but we will move on now, and it's going to be Sean Woodson 8,500 taking on Dynamite Dan Ige 7,700. Line on this fight, it is Woodson minus 180. Ige plus 155. And, it's interesting because for a lot of his career, I think even coming on the way he has, we haven't really seen the aggressive killer Sean Woodson, but we did in his last fight. He looked really good, really aggressive. Generally, he's a guy who would just hang back, uses kind of slick boxing. He'll wrestle a little bit, and those are the kind of fights he has, but really looked good in the last fight. Really kind of turned the corner. But Dan Ige is a very tough test. He's going to be able to get on the inside with his pressure. He can use some wrestling if he has to. Woodson is still kind of has the baby giraffe syndrome where it's the tall guy, but if you move him backwards, he can't really fight that well. So I think this is going to be a really good scrap. It's one I'm looking forward to. I'm going to have to give it to Ige just because I don't think Woodson has fought at this level. I think Ige is just more seasoned. He's going to be able to ride through the rough patches, and I really think the pressure is going to close him down, and more weapons here to get the victory. So I think it's a close fight. I'm going Ige just on the balance here, and I would definitely go Ige in DraftKings because I don't think those finishes from Woodson are going to present themselves all too often, and I think 8,500. There's a little too much room there, and there's more fighters I like in that price range, certainly. So I'm going Ige here, but we will see what the boys think, and we'll start again where we left off with Drake Casey's fight.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with your take. I really did want to go with Ige. I just that size difference in Woodson's ability to keep people on the outside, and a good fight to kind of liken it to. Not that these two guys are on the same skill level. I'm not saying that, but the fight with Charles Jourdain, it's a very similar fighting style. He walks forward, he gets in your face, he stays in the pocket, and I mean, Woodson kept him on the outside the majority of the fight. And really, that's all he needs to do to win this fight. I don't like Woodson for DFS, like at all. I'd much rather play Ige, but I do think Woodson wins the fight.
Yeah, I can see the take. There is a lot. I definitely like Woodson's game more now than when he came in. That's for sure. And I get the point that the length difference is just gonna be something, but I do think that he can walk forward and pressure effectively and get it done. But we're going to see what the rest of the guys think, and we'll go to Joe here. Joe, how you see his fight?
Yeah, I mean, it was Woodson's last fight was impressive, but it was really tailor-made. I mean, Padilla is a striker that just comes forward, and Woodson, that was a boxing clinic. I mean, he just really pieced him up. I mean, I think it was almost merciful that he was able to knock him out because he just would have hurt him for 3 rounds while taking no damage. I see this as a much harder fight. I would actually like to see Ige get his wrestling going here because I think that he could work his wrestling and, have some success against. I mean, look, he went toe-to-toe with Edson Barbosa when Barbosa was still good. I kind of like, man, I hate to say it, but I do like Ige here. I mean, look, he took Lopez on 8 hours notice and did not embarrass himself in that fight. Man, it's interesting because he's part of the Ali camp. Like, he's the manager and he actually works for Ali as he does administrative stuff. But with that said, he is not he's taken some really tough fights. Like, you would have thought that he would have had a better selection of fights because he really has taken tough fights. I mean, this is a step down for him, for Dan Ige. So at the price point, I'm going to take Dan. I can't remember if I picked Woodson when the staff picks or not, but I'm going to take Ige here. Staff picks are Tuesday, and honestly, it usually takes me longer to have my opinion set. So apologies if it seems like I'm fence sitting, but I'm going to take Ige here as a dog.
Did we pick this fight for staff? I thought it was only the main card.
Oh, no, we didn't pick this fight? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So Joe really wasn't remembering, but that's all right. That's all right. But yeah, it's funny because as you were talking, I'm scrolling through Twitter here, and I saw their stare down picture, and Woodson is like 2 heads taller. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I do think Ige gets it done. But we will cap it off with Joey here. Joey, how you see this fight?
I really wanted to go Ige in this fight. I really did. But I just think he's going to get caught up right in the 1-2s the entire fight. He might have a few moments where he'll throw a big power hand. Everyone's like, ooh. Like, yeah, he landed. But I think the whole fight is, I think Woods is going to piece him up from the outside, entire fight. But I think if he gets smart, he goes to his wrestling. And if he does, half a takedown minus 105.
I love it. All over those takedown props.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
I hit a good portion of them.
Yeah, no, they're good to play. They're fun. If I was able to play Prize Picks, that's what I would focus on because I know that they have those. But always eyeing those Prize Picks from afar, from outside the glass window. But yeah, no, I agree, and it does come down to that. I mean, that's the dynamic. If Ige can get past the range, he can have success. If not, he's going to have a hard time. So we will see how that goes there. And we will also continue to the main card. But before we do, we're going to take a quick break for our audio-only podcast listeners, and we will be right back. And we're back. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We're going to continue to the main card now, and we're going to kick it off with Nikita Krylov, 8,800, taking on Dominic the Devastator, not Dominator Reyes, although I guess he could have it now since Cruz retired, at 7,400. Line on this fight, it is Krylov at minus 150, Reyes plus 130. And, Krylov's been away for a couple of years, but I still think he's just going to fight like he always fights, which is just bat out of hell, swarm, try to get takedown, try to overwhelm. And a couple of years ago, I guess 3 or 4 years ago now, I would say Dominic Reyes could handle that kind of fighter, but now I just don't think so. I think he's just going to get overwhelmed here. I don't think knockout wins against certainly Anthony Smith, who was in no condition to fight there. But then the last one with the Glory kickboxer, whose name always escapes me because I don't like him so much. Dustin Jacoby, a guy I've never really liked anyway, and for him to get a knockout there doesn't impress me all that much. I think Krylov is just going to sort of steamroll through him. He might have to eat a punch or two, but I don't think he gets through this fight. I think he's going to wear him out. Put up a big score. This is another guy I was referencing when I talked about the 8,000 club that are trying to pick up some big points. I do think Krylov fits that bill. But we will see what the guys think. And once again, we will pick up where we left off. Joey, how do you see the first fight on the main card here?
Only one person on here knows who I'm actually going with, and he knows why. I've been the biggest Reyes fan since she's gotten to the UFC. So before I make that pick, I will say this. The under 1.5 plus 115, somebody's getting steamrolled in this fight. Just either side, I think someone could get steamrolled. Now, my bias side, I'm on Dominic Reyes. I do think the power can land early. I really do. Krylov's been on for 2 years. I know he was supposed to have a fight in November with Mirzakhanov, which just didn't happen due to Mirzakhanov, but Reyes staying active. He beat the living dog piss out of Anthony Smith. Fight should have ended round 1. Smith didn't want to quit, but hey.
Fight shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
That too. That was the easiest KO prop I've had all night. I just think he's going to knock out Krylov. I do believe in ring rust. 2 years. If it wasn't just a year, okay, it happens, but 2 years, no action in the octagon. I think Reyes catches him inside the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's a good point. And of course, past is not future, of course, but 118 and 136 in the last 2 fights. So if you do believe he's back, which I do not, but it's not inconceivable that you think one of us does for sure. But and if you do think that, at that price, it's definitely a good margin. But when he came in, everybody was wondering what would happen if you tested him on the ground because he was this great kickboxer. And to be honest, he's never really had a fight where anybody's done that. He had some low-level wrestlers that he knocked out before. Weidman was in his era where he was just getting dusted right away. And so this is going to be, I think, a unique challenge for him, despite how long he's been in the UFC. And if he can get that early power, that's great. If he can't, he's in for a long night, I believe. But we will go with Drake next. Drake, how you see this fight?
You know, I have talked about ring rust a lot, in the amount of time that I've done this, and it never really seems to take effect, especially when it's not he wasn't gone due to injury or anything else. He had a full camp against Murzakanov. He had he's been training the whole time. If he hadn't been training or he was hurt in some way, shape, or form, then I'd be like, yeah, okay, he might have some rust. I think he's going to get in there and just be pissed, and just Reyes is going to be in for a long night or a quick night if you go that way. But I love Krylov in this spot.
Yeah, I hate to agree with Dominic Cruz on anything, but I don't really ring rust and weight cuts are two things that don't really influence me all that much in terms of now if it's really stark, obviously something like Stipe, we saw what happened there. But other than that, I tend to agree with Drake where I'll just go on skills and see what happens there. But everybody's different. There's always a shot, so we shall see. But we'll cap it off with Joe. Joe, how do you see the opener for the main card here?
Yeah, so I did pick Krylov, but I have some concerns. Like there is narrative, like we don't really know what he's been doing for the last 2 years. Just for background, not that it really matters as it relates to fighting, but Krylov is a pro-Russian Ukrainian who actually has worn the Russian flag before. So expect some booze in Miami.
He asked for it to be back next to his name.
Yeah, he's a pro. I mean, if you remember, his initial nickname was Al Capone, and he changed it to the Miner from Al Capone. Al Capone was Krylov's initial nickname, which I thought was a pretty badass nickname personally. So I do have some concerns, like not knowing why he pulled out after making weight in his last fight. I don't know what he's been doing for the last 2 years. There was actually a rumor that he was killed in a battle circulating. I don't know where maybe I got to give that credit to Cody Safick. Like there was a rumor that happened. Getting back to Reyes, John Jones tried to take Reyes down 9 times and only took him down twice. So again, I don't know how successful Krylov is going to be. So look, I'm not going to, it sounds like I'm waffling here. My point is I'm going to play both sides of this in DFS. I'll stick with Krylov as my pick. I'm not going to go. I understand the people who are picking Reyes. They're getting a guy who, if he is not totally washed, arguably won against John Jones. And if he's back and maybe he had a confidence issue, who knows? He's got good takedown defense. Krylov has had his ups and downs as well. A guy actually lost to Mika Serkinov. So I'm going to stay with Krylov, but I definitely want shares in my DK lineups of Dominic Reyes.
I hear you, but we can't really reference the John Jones things anymore. I mean, it's 5 years ago now. I mean, we might want to find a fight that we can get in color at this point. But I hear you on the overall point, and we shall see, especially with the takedown defense. And to Joey's point, last 5 fights of Dominic Reyes in the second round or earlier. So, I mean, those fights do tend to finish. Drake looks like he's chomping at the bit here. So we're going to throw it to Drake for this fight.
Which fight, Chris? You got to call
Did Drake already go?
Yeah.
Darn it. Look, 4 for you is just too much. My brain is getting all disheveled here. Okay, so we're gonna move on then. Is that right? All right, perfect. Okay, so for the next fight, it is. I've heard this referred to as the people's main event here. So we shall see. It is Gene Silva at 9,100 taking on Bryce. Please God, just shut up. Mitchell at 7,100. Line on this fight. It is. Where are we here? Oh, they switched these up. I'm sorry. 190 minus 190 Gene Silva plus 160 Bryce Mitchell. And the first thing we have to say about Bryce Mitchell, and I promise I'm going to keep the in-ring stuff, is we need to know. We can't know, but we need to speculate how he's doing after the. I think probably the scariest knockout we've ever seen, or at least one. I don't think I've ever seen someone twitch to that extent, as if they were hit by a stun gun when they were knocked out. So really scary. We need to know how he is, how that chin is, not just how his chin is, but like we talked about jitters, ring rust, and jitters from rust is one thing. Jitters because you definitely saw the white light is quite another, and so maybe his confidence is shaken. You could hardly blame him if that were the case. The other thing is he's tending to stand with people. Like we have to realize that whole Josh Emmett fight, they were in the cage together for 1:57. He didn't shoot one time. Now you might say that was because of Josh Emmett's pressure, and he was having a hard time. But Gene Silva's going to do the same thing if that's what you think. Kept him from doing so. I've seen people say that Silva's been taken down a bunch, and so Mitchell will do that. Yeah, but I mean, is he going to auto sub Gene Silva even if he gets him down? I tend to think that he won't. Again, it's just that X factor after the knockout is going to be really something to watch. And rooting interest aside, the athleticism too, it's just too much for me. And unless you think again auto sub, or he can take him down and hold him down for the better part of 15 minutes, which I certainly don't see happening. So I have to go with it might be the somewhat easy take, but I think a knockout is just in the offing here. This is a standard both sides fight because either one of these guys, if they win, is going to dominate. That's just how it's going to play out. But I think it's going to be Silva 100%. I think the knockout's coming, and maybe I'll enjoy it a little more than I would if it were somebody else. But we're going to start with Joe here. Joe, how do you see this fight?
So Mitchell is a one bald Nazi who trains in a barn with his brothers who are also his cousins. His family tree doesn't fork all that well. The stare down was super intense, right? It was a super intense stare down. It's a very binary fight. Like if you strip all of the narrative out of it, it's a very binary fight. A striker versus a wrestler. I agree, Chris, with you that you probably want both sides of this fight in case Mitchell overnight develops some brain cells and decides that it's like actually a good idea to not strike with Silva and try to take him down, in which case he could potentially have some success. I picked Silva. I'm going to stay with that pick. I do want some shares of Mitchell. I could get him really cheap. And it's a hedge. If Mitchell is backing up and Silva is moving forward, and Mitchell decides that he's got God in his corner and can strike with Silva, then this could be a pretty quick fight. If he gets someone in his ear who actually has a modicum of IQ, and he uses his wrestling right from the jump and keeps Silva moving back and can get him to the ground, it's a winnable fight for him. So I want both sides here. I'm going to bank on the fact that he's not going to improve his IQ quotient overnight. So I'm going to stick with my pick of Silva, but I do want some shares of Mitchell. I would not fade him at all in DFS.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fade. You have to have a little bit of it. I wouldn't have that much just because I don't really see it happening, but you can't argue with the salary and the amount of points he could potentially put up, even though don't really see it. But I believe we're gonna go to Joey here next. Joey, how do you see this fight?
He better have the power of Christ behind him, because Silva's not gonna give a damn who the hell he has with him. So I think the first round could play a little bit close. Silva might try to get too flashy. Mitchell might get a takedown, but we've seen when Silva got taken down, he got up quick. He's like, okay, I'm showboating a little bit. That's what happens. Okay, I'm going to get back to my feet. He can keep getting up. As long as he doesn't give his back up, I think he's fine. But I actually do like round 2, round 3 for Silva by knockout. The round 2 is at plus 450. Round 3 plus 780. I think.
Yeah, no. Oh no, absolutely, yeah. I like it again. The round 2 thing is if there, if there's a little bit of feeling out, I could see it. Personally, I think this is just going to be a round 1 spark out. That's kind of how I see it playing out because I think they're going to come together, and I think Bryce Mitchell is going to wet his pants and then maybe take a nap. But we're going to go to Drake and see how he sees it. I think I kind of know how Drake sees it. Something tells me. Yeah, something tells me.
Oh,
I don't
man.
know.
What's that say? It says fighting nerds, right? Yeah.
It says,
Fighting
I can't make it
nerds.
out. Yes, it does say fighting nerds. Yes. Drake, how you see it?
So, it's funny because I was I at least rooted for Mitchell for a lot of his UFC tenure, and then he just continued to make these brain dead responses, and you're allowed to believe whatever the hell you want, but his IQ is the exact way he seems to think the earth is, and it's flat. Give me Silva all day.
Yep, Silva all day. I definitely agree. I think it's pretty clear cut here. Again, a binary fight, as we've said, but I think this one is going in one direction, and I hope it is too. So it's nice
Real quick, if anybody wants to know, this sweatshirt and all the other Fighting Nerds gear, you can find on Full Violence. I am not a rep for them. I am nothing else, but I do love my Fighting Nerds, and this sweatshirt is extremely good quality.
I was gonna say I hope you're getting something for that, but I think it is just for the love of the game, and it does look very very comfortable as I said in the DMs there. It reminds me of Family Guy font, so I like that about it too. But so check out that gear. Unpaid for now, but if anybody's watching and wants to throw Drake or the pot a little something, we certainly won't say no. But But for now, we're going to move on up the main card, and it's going to be the co-main event, as it turns out. It is Paddy Pimblett, 8,400, Michael Chandler, 7,800. Line on this fight is Paddy.
You skipped the fight. You got Yair Rodriguez and Pitbull.
Oh, I'm sorry. How come I didn't see that in the thing?
Oh, I didn't even realize I was muted. I was like, mm-mm.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. Yes, you are correct. Thank you so much, boys. It is. I see. I knew that I missed one. That's why I was hesitant. But anyway, it is Yair Rodriguez at 8,700 taking on Patricio Pitbull Fieri at 7,500. Line on this fight, and it is Fieri. I'm sorry, Yair at minus 175, Pitbull at plus 150, and I do think there is a universe where Pitbull wins this fight if he can stay in Rodriguez. Hang on, Joey. I'm getting to it. If he can stay in Yair's face with his sort of Thai style on the feet, really close him down and blast those kicks, he could be successful. Problem is he's not consistent with his pressure. It really goes back and forth. I mean, we saw him get hurt against Jeremy Kennedy in the PFL, and that's not somebody who should hurt you. He had to come back, and it's almost like he got mad when he got hurt and won the fight by knockout soon after, which just shows you what he can do. I mean, if he really did keep his pressure, he's still an explosive and a powerful striker. But I think he's going to have too much trouble with the range here. I think Yair Rodriguez is just going to stick him at range, and those kicks are really powerful. We saw Pitbull get knocked out in Risen by a big, rangy fighter. Get knocked out pretty easily, just being unable to close the distance. I don't know if Yair can knock him out, but I do think he's going to have a lot of success here. So I'm rooting for Pitbull, and again, I do think he has a path, but I also think that it's not as likely, and so I have to pick Yair. I think we're going to start with Joey just because he was the most vociferous about a little bit of Pitbull love there. I couldn't even give any, but Joey, why is that?
My planet flag is Yair Rodriguez this week. Not only do I think he dominates this fight, not only do I think he knocks him out, I think he's going to snipe Pitbull out in this fight. He's too athletic. His speed's a big factor. And as you said, he got knocked out by some random bum who's barely over 500. And you telling me you getting knocked out by that type of talent? Not even in the UFC? Will never be in the UFC? Now you're making your debut against probably one of the most dangerous strikers in the division. Nah, I'm good. Yeah, you going nah. I'll give it under 2.5 rounds. Pitbull's done.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for reasons to pick Pitbull, but in the end of the day, I couldn't do it. My reason had to supersede and make me come to my senses there. But we're gonna go to, I believe, Joe here. Joe, how you see this one?
Yeah, so look, I appreciate everything Pitbull has attempted to do to be a three division, you know, three division champion in an inferior promotion, despite getting starched by Sergio Pettis of all people. He's a 37-year-old midget. He's 5'5". Yair desperately needs a win here. He's coming off of 2 losses. Even if Pitbull, which I don't think he will, decides to wrestle because Yair can be taken down, he's got these lanky, he's so wiry that he's got these subs he could work. If Pitbull tries to take him down, I don't think he will. I like Yair quite a bit here. I think there's maybe some recency bias that have people moving towards Pitbull here. I just I don't see it. I see all the advantages for Yair here. I don't know why the UFC they sign these guys like Venom Page and Patricio when they're pretty much at the end of their ropes. Like, I guess Pico, I'm curious to see how Pico fights. Hopefully that'll be a pretty competitive fight.
I can't wait for Pico.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. Look, I mean, we're going to talk about another former Bellator guy coming up. But I like Yair here quite a bit.
Well, one thing is I don't know why the 37-year-old short kings have to take a beating there. I'm not really into that, but I do see what you're saying about the fight generally. And the thing about Page, I mean, Page, he's doing pretty well in his stupid style that everybody hates, but it does seem to be working for him. So,
Chris, I was 5'5" in 3rd grade. Okay, so
yeah,
come
well, everybody knows that you're tall. We get it, Joe. Okay, we get it. But for now, we're gonna go to Drake to cap it off. Drake, how do you see this fight between the Bellator legend and Yair Rodriguez?
If we're going to talk about short kings, there's only one, and his name is Mighty Mouse. That said, the recency bias I think is absolutely there. I think a lot of people are going to be on Pitbull just because it's a big name. He's had a lot of success elsewhere. But, we've seen guys come over from other promotions at a younger age and better skill set, like where he's at now. I wouldn't say like 6 years ago, but better skill set now, and they've struggled in the UFC because the type of talent is just completely different. And you're going to feed him to a guy that it wasn't long ago was holding the belt. Rodriguez should just, I mean, it sucks to say, but he should absolutely dominate this fight. If he loses, he lost it himself.
Yeah, it's tough with the dynamics to say. Like I was watching Pitbull and I was like, yeah, stay there, stay with your pressure, but he's not going to be able to do it, I don't think. And I think he's probably going to take a hard beating here, but I am still going to root for him just because. And I do think it's funny that everybody said inferior promotion because that's what the UFC does too. Like in other promotions, when other guys from the UFC go elsewhere, they'll say UFC, but the UFC refuses to say any other promotion that a guy comes from, even if they were really famous there. They won't say it for our next guy either too. They still have not. But we will move to our co-main now, which is Paddy Pimblett, 8,400, Michael Chandler, 7,800. Line on this fight, minus 150 for Paddy Pimblett, plus 130 for Michael Chandler. And I really think this is going to be the time where Paddy's aversion to defense and ability to get hit hard is just going to cost him. He just has been hit hard by so many people who are so much less powerful and athletic than Michael Chandler. Now, to be fair, Chandler is one of the worst finishers I think I've ever seen. He hurts someone in every fight, And then in the Oliveira fight was literally falling over, throwing strikes, trying to finish him. I mean, for a veteran who is that bad and can't keep his cool when he has somebody hurt is really just troubling. But I think that Paddy Pimblett is look in past fights, guys like Bobby Green have had trouble reaching him with the range, but Chandler closes distance so fast. It's going to be something that Paddy's never felt before. And Paddy is not as good of a jiu-jitsu guy as he is. He's not really an active wrestler. Like he'll go for takedowns, but he's not really okay. This is my game plan. Fight starts, I'm going to stick you on the fence. That's not really his game. So I think Chandler's going to knock him out. I don't, and the upshot of that is they're going to put him in big fights again because they love having him there because he's exciting. But I think that's what we're going to see. I think Paddy finally gets what some of us have thought that he should have gotten for a long time, which is playing fast and loose with that chin, and I think he's going to get knocked out. But we will see how the co-main event goes. And are we starting with Joe for the co-main? I think we are. Joe, how you see it?
Yeah, so look, I've never been a Pimblett fan. I mean, even going back to Cage Warriors, I thought he had a couple of fortunate victories there. Okay, so my concern here is with the narrative of the UFC clearly wanting Pimblett to win. Clearly wanting Pimblett to win. I mean, putting him in a 5-round fight so he gets 5-round fight experience. I thought he lost the fight. I thought he clearly lost the fight to Gordon. I mean, I was like very surprised. Like there was boos, and I'm like, the fix is in. Like there's no way Gordon did not win that fight against Pimblett. You know, he's been very, very selectively. I want to use a new word for many people. It's called curated. His career has been curated. So yeah. So unless something is off with Chandler here, and you know Chandler makes a mistake, which can happen. I like Chandler here. I mean, I've liked them all week. My only concern is knowing that the UFC would prefer Pimblett to win. They would prefer Pimblett to win. They're looking for a star, an English-speaking star, someone to be the talker like Conor is. You know, he's mildly athletic. I don't think he's super skilled anywhere, but the UFC is behind him. So I will have some shares of Pimblett, but I am sticking with Chandler. I got Chandler in a lot of lineups. I got Chandler in open-ended parlays. I guess I could, depending on how things are going, decide to hedge out a little with Pimblett. I want to see where the money comes in. But yeah, I am on. Look, I don't know if Pimblett's gonna be able to go 5 rounds. We know Chandler can. He gets second wins. Like if the later this fight goes, the more I'm gonna love Chandler here. And maybe if Pimblett wins a round or two, I hop on Chandler live and get even some better odds. So this is definitely one to watch and maybe bet live. But I'm on Chandler here.
Yeah, I do think it's funny when saying give him 5-round experience. I don't think he's going to get 5-round experience in this fight. That's just my opinion, no matter which way it goes. But we will see. Drake, what about you? How do you see the co-main here?
Well, man, I hate going against Paddy. I really do. He's a fun fighter. He's fun to watch. He's fun to listen to. However, Michael Chandler is my bet of the week. I do really like Chandler in this fight. It's just for everything that Joe said, he just keeps his chin too high. You can't do that against Michael Chandler. Oh man, it sucks. It really does. I do like Paddy a lot, but this is Chandler's fight to lose. And like Joe said, the later this goes, the better it is for Chandler. The biggest thing that worries me is Chandler makes a lot of stupid ass mistakes.
Yeah,
and it only takes one against any of these guys. Pimblett, he's a great grappler. I mean, one mistake and Chandler's going to be put out. That part said, Oliveira couldn't, submit him with the amount of opportunities that he had. So I mean that kind of makes me a little more comfortable with it. But I really like Chandler this week. I love him in DFS. I love him everywhere.
Yeah, it's funny because we talk about bad fight IQs a lot, but when you talk about a guy with prestige and bad fight IQ, like Chandler is on the Mount Rushmore. Like he's
See, I don't even think that it's bad fight IQ. I think he does a lot of it on purpose because it puts on a show.
Well, I hope that's not the case. I mean, my good. I mean, if that is, I mean, he's really. We haven't even talked about, one of the dirtiest fighters probably in the sport. I mean, and the fact that he tries to aw shucks it every single time somebody calls him out for it is funny. I have to admit, but definitely one of the dirtiest fighters in the sport. We'll see if that plays a role here. But we'll finish off with Joey here. Joey, how you see the co-main?
Potty the body.
Love to know how you think it's gonna happen.
Potty the
Yeah.
body. By submission. Plus 200.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Like Drake said, Oliveira couldn't do it, and no one's done it early. I mean, certainly Poirier did it, but wasn't early, and I think early is going to have to be how it happens, or he's going to go to sleep. But we will definitely see how that plays out. Definitely an interesting fight. Michael Chandler, for whatever you want to say about him, always makes fights exciting, as does Paddy Pimblett, so it should be an interesting co-main there. But we will go now for the vacant featherweight crown. It is Alexander the Great Volkanovski at 8,200. Deigo Lopes at 8,000, or Lopez, as it were. Line on this fight, it is as close as the odds would suggest. It's minus 150 Volkanovski, plus 130 Deigo Lopez. And so I think going back and watching it again, my main takeaway from the fight with Brian Ortega is Lopez just isn't that good. I'm sorry, but like, he's just so stiff as a striker. Like, there is no way that you should let Brian Ortega back into that fight after you hurt him so badly in that first round. And Ortega was, at a certain point in that fight, was getting his jab going, was doing okay. And I see a lot of takes this week that are like, well, can Alexander Volkanovski get hit with that, take that shot? That's the wrong question. Is he going to get hit with that shot? And the answer, I think, is no. Volkanovski, still one of the best guys with the best footwork in the business, still one of the guys with the best shot selection in the business. I just think it's way too early for a guy like Deigo Lopez, unless Alexander Volkanovski is just shot. And I don't think we can say that from losing to a lightweight and then losing to maybe the scariest featherweight we've ever seen. So I just think, I know somebody's coming up here who's going to dispute it, who I think we're going to hear the word coral quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. But I see that part of it, but Volkanovski's always been tough to take down, always been tough to hold down. And so I just don't see the path. I see the path. I shouldn't say that. I just don't think. I think it's a very outside shot for Deigo Lopez in this fight, especially for where the odds are. But we will see how the takes play out, and we'll start the main event with Joey. Joey, how you see it?
How I honestly see it is, I've been on Lopes since he's gotten to UFC. I remember telling Drake I thought he was live against Mozart. We really didn't know much about him. I was like, but his style looks wild, and he almost got him by submission. And ever since then, I've been on Lopes damn near every fight, except for, I think, one. I forget which one. Jake probably knows the answer to that one. But I'm going to keep going with Lopes. I think he can even rock Volk to where I think Volk will be like, oh, snap. I think he'll shoot. And that's where I think Lopes will win by submission. By sub is plus 500. And I think maybe even in round 2, you can get that at plus 2,500.
Wow, that would be quite a turn of events. I will say that. I don't see Volk getting hit by the shots that we've seen.
Chris, you should let me go next, because I think Drake feels the same way as Joey.
No. Drake is certainly going last.
Yeah, so let me agree with you 100%.
Yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so look, I agree with pretty much everything you said about Lopes. I don't think he's that great all around as a UFC fighter. I was actually at the fight against Esloev in Newark. I thought that was a good fight. A lot of people, he got lots of props there. The Ortega thing was very confusing to me. I think that if this fight gets to the 7.5 minute mark, that Volk should be minus 1,000, because we know Lopez is going to fade. I would be shocked if he has cardio for 3 rounds, never mind 5. Like 8 hours notice, Dan Ige. No. Now your other point is, how washed is Volk? Like, if Volk is not washed, if he's not a shadow of his former self, I don't think. And again, I'm probably going to get some disagreement by Drake here. At their best, at Lopes' current point in his career, I don't think he's a better jiu-jitsu practitioner than Ortega when he was at his best. And Ortega could not choke out Volkanovski. I'll never forget him on the ground with his thumb up in the air. Like, he could not submit him, right? So I don't see him out striking him. His striking is just not that good. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of movement. I honestly don't get it. Like, I understand you want to take some shots with with Lopes, because Volkanovski, look, at least he took a lot of time off after this knockout, which I'll give him credit for taking a lot of time off. But like, I mean, the back class is just huge here, and you're getting him at such a discount. Like, I mean, this could be the biggest pork chop I've eaten all year, but like, I really do like Volk a lot here. I'm going to take a few shots of Lopez. I'll definitely have him in. I'll definitely have him in DFS. I almost want Lopez to win the first round, because if he wins the first round, I'm going to get a really good number on Volkanovski. So yeah, give me Volkanovski here. Yeah, play some Lopez in DFS, but like, I like Volkanovski quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree, but we have not heard from the Deigo Lopes fan club yet, which we're going to hear from right now. Drake, how do you see the main event?
It's funny, because my fan club was also Volkanovski for the longest time. And I agree with everything you said. I had Volkanovski in both the Islam fights. I haven't gone against him. I still fully believe that he's one of the best male fighters in the world. I don't know what it is. It's just, there's something about Lopez's game that just it's tricky for people. It causes issues. It's like it causes confusion. And obviously Volkanovski, as great as he is, he's got one of the best fight IQs. He may just completely, bypass it, and it could be the TKZ fight where he just obliterates Lopez. I actually don't think that this will hit the ground very often. I really don't. If it does, I can see Volkanovski being the one to initiate the takedowns, which if he does that, then I do worry a little more for him. I do think that as far as grappling goes, Lopez is the better grappler. So I do expect this to be, a striking match. And to Joe's point, as far as cardio, if this does go into the championship rounds, I will absolutely be all about Volkanovski, because Lopez showed, could his cardio gotten better? Absolutely. They train for however long to get all this and, to fix those issues that they have. For me, this really is like a 50-50 fight. And I like Lopez a lot. He was my pick to, I didn't write my article, but he was my pick to have the belt at the end of the year. And, I'm going to stand by it.
Wait. So you think Lopez is going to win a striking match?
I do. I think he knocks him out.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I think the line on that should be astronomical, should it not? What is that? It's not.
I would think Volkanovski would have to be washed in order to get
knocked out by Lopez. I agree.
That would be the only way I can see that happening. Like, if he gets knocked out by Lopez, he should retire. He should leave his gloves in the octagon, because that would be embarrassing.
He might.
I wouldn't go as far as say embarrassing, but I do think, because he's got power. I think that Volkanovski's just too good of a fighter for that to happen. But we shall see, and that is the UFC 314 fight card. So we made it, folks, and thank everybody for hanging out. But before we go, we're going to go ahead and run through some hot takes here. If you're new to the show, we take lines that we don't think are juiced up quite high enough for the probability that they hit, and we give them to you as plays that you can go for. I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. I think Volkanovski knocks out Lopez. and that's plus 300. And that is going to be my hot take for the show. If you have one, you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to throw it to
I got
our
one.
friends here. And Joe has raised his hand. So, Joe, what do you got?
Okay, I got a 4-fighter parlay here. I got Lord McCall by knockout plus 130. I got Yair minus 192. I got Michael Chandler plus 124. And I got Volkanovski minus 162. That 4-fighter parlay pays plus 1167, or simple math, $85.68 will win you $1,000. That's my 4-fighter parlay, 85.68 to win 1,000. That means you get your bet back. And again, real quick, Lord McCall by knockout plus 130, Yair minus 192, Michael Chandler plus 124, and Volkanovski minus 162. Now, if you are a Lopez fan, you could certainly swap out Volkanovski with Lopez and get even a higher payout for less of an investment. So you could do that as well.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely pretty good. Drake, did you say you had one as well?
I mentioned an early one that I like as just an extreme hot take. It's Gore wins by submission. It's plus 900 in most places. But my 4-fighter parlay, it's kind of similar to Joe's. I have Krylov, Mudarji, Chandler, and Rodriguez. It pays at about plus 850.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's good. Joey, what about you? What do you see for hot takes?
I like Dominic Reyes by knockout plus 350.
Wow.
Oh,
We know.
Everything you said was valid and could happen, but needs to be early. So,
how are we looking in the PFL, Joey? How's our fighter looking in the PFL?
It looks like it's going to go to a split decision.
Are we going to get it?
It's going to be close. She gave up her back late.
Okay.
We're
on a plus 164 fighter in PFL, Joey.
Does that end at 10 or 11?
It's on now.
It's on now.
It's on now.
Okay.
There's still more fights going.
I wanted to see how much time I had, but we'll see.
It's going to a split. Damn, come on.
It is a split?
It's going to be.
Okay, well, we can let the audience go and we can hang out for a minute and figure, because I'm not
watching. I was wondering if we could see the exciting conclusion, but
exciting conclusion of this.
I hope so.
This CFL fight.
But
it's funny because since we're just chatting here and we're still live, I was asking, like, for whatever reason, I'm not I don't have access to the VIP part of the RotoWire website, so I asked Chris and Drake to kind of hook me up. And Chris is like, we're going to give them our cricket content.
Yeah, we'd be glad to throw you some cricket. Some.
The funny thing is that in all of my degeneracy, I've never bet cricket. I've bet like Singaporean soccer, like Division II Scottish soccer. Now I'm going to really age myself. West German handball. I've actually bet on Intertops. Like I've bet some crazy things, but like I have never ever bet cricket. Doesn't it take like 4 days to finish a match?
I think so. Well, there's different kinds. There's like test cricket, and I don't really know everything about it. But we are looking to work that in. And
like when I was a young kid, and the only gambling that we had was like the racetrack. Like growing up in northern New Jersey, the big racetrack is the Meadowlands, and it's predominantly known as a harness track. And they would run the harness races from like September through this, through a good portion of the summer. They'd run them, and we'd go during the winter, and it would get so cold during like February that the locks would freeze on your car. And I remember having to set my program on fire to thaw. Because I didn't smoke, I had to borrow like matches or a lighter from someone, and I had to hold the program up lit against the locks on my car to thaw them out so I could drive home. That is major degeneracy. Like when it's so cold and you're going to watch harness races and it's midnight and your locks are frozen and you have to set your program on fire to thaw out the locks on your car.
That is, I think we would get a decent amount of Joe just telling degen stories.
I have them. Indoor track meet at the Brendan Byrne Arena, betting dollars on each event as it went off. How'd we do, Joey?
It's on a commercial and it's about I'm like, come on, man, just give me the damn.
All right, yeah, I think we're just gonna have to leave it to the fans.
Let our audience go.
I know everybody was waiting for that, but unfortunately. But thank you all so much for tuning in any case, and good luck in your contest. We will be online during the fights, chatting it up on Twitter as always, and in the DMs, giving each other a hard time, I'm sure. So again, thank you all so much, and we will see you for the next one.
Let's hang out, Joey, for a bit. Got it? No.
No, I was just agreeing to the hangout.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, get out of commercial already.
What is Big John and is Sean O'Connell? Is he who's doing the?
Yeah, like Randy Couture too.
Oh, okay.
Okay.